Hey there, what's going on, you guys? This is Artz. Something blowing in my face. But welcome to another episode of Artz Tutorials. Now this episode is going to be a little bit different pace, and I decided to take it outdoors because this episode is going to focus on understanding light. You know, the understanding of light, and I'm not going to cover it in its entirety because there's also another term that I was going to focus on as well, is understanding how my brain works when it comes to doing realistic portraits or realistic drawings in general. Like, what am I thinking about? And usually it's the left brain and right brain. Now the left brain I think I focus on that 30%. 30%. When I'm observing, when I'm outdoors, my left brain is on 30%. And what is that left brain? What is it analyzing? What does it do? Left brain is basically, you know, accepting and acknowledging things for what they are. And it's more, you know, it's calculus involved. It's much more, scientific involved. It's like, it's discovery and just knowing things, accepting for what they are. For example, left brain. We know this is a body of water. We know it's a pond, right? This is left brain. We know these are twigs and sticks and trees and whatnot. We know this is a landscape. This is left brain. The left brain tells us this. This is what these things are. This is what we learn from the left brain. Why do I say that I use that 30% of the time when I'm outdoors and observing the outside world? Well, the other 70% I'm using my right brain. And so, probably asking me, Vince Artz, what does the right brain do? Well, the right brain, it analyzes things for not just for what they are, but you really taking note and learning what is happening with that particular thing. And in a lot of cases with me, I lose track of what those things actually are, you know. It's like at this point, it is not a body, a beautiful thing that is casting a reflection, casting a lot of highlights and shadows. Hey, how are you? It's casting a lot of highlights and shadows, and in this particular object right here, you know, it's more than just a pole in the ground. It's it's just this thing that's responding to the sunlight, that the sun is casting on it in a certain way, to where it's causing these highlights and these shadows. And so I have this perspective on the right brain perspective. I have it on 70% of the time. And like, it just lets you know that, like, okay, we get it. We get it. The right brain allows you to expand even a bit further, and you become almost limitless with that right brain, because that's when you start getting into the artistic and the creativity and appreciating the creativity of, you appreciate the beauty of things versus knowing what they are. Knowing what they are. And like with the left brain, it takes a lot of that beauty aspect out of it. It takes a lot of the artistic out of it, because it doesn't matter with the left brain. It's just, you know, it's just a thing. They say it's in the thing that's been calculated, designed off of numbers, pretty much. And things designed off numbers, I mean, like with the poles and whatnot, that was man-made. And right brain is just the value and appreciation for the light source and the shadows. And then if you're looking at the object from the right brain perspective, from many different angles, from many different light source, it becomes a totally different thing. It looks completely different from so many different angles. So that one subject becomes 1,000. So, and Vince, I'm just kind of rambling, but what does all this mean? Okay, so how is all this applying to art? Okay, again, I said earlier, I use my left brain 30% when I'm going out in the world, and I use the right brain 70%. Really analyzing and taking note of what is happening to this specific thing when light touches it. Hey, how are you? Just really analyzing what's happening, and like when a light hits the subject, because there's plenty of light out here, as you can see. You know, this is where the sun is, right? And so once again, let's go to, well, you can see it. Like, you see what it's doing with this plant right here, this tree, this little small tree here. So we know the sun is in that direction, right? And so you can see and analyze that from a right brain perspective and learn how shadows typically respond. And 9 times out of 10 from this, if the light is coming from this angle, the shadows are always going to respond just the same. I say 9.9 times out of 10. So we know, like, if the light is coming from this side, it's going to be a lot of shadows on the opposite side. And once again, right brain, you analyze that. Left brain, you don't attach to it that much. It doesn't really matter because you just acknowledging it. It's just a tree. It's just a tree. You don't care about the light and everything. We know it's a tree. And so yeah, I'm still taking a walk. And even so the right brain, I'm gonna turn on my right brain once again. So the left brain, well, I'll take it back. The left brain is telling us that this is a body of water. We know that. But the right brain is saying that, like, the reflections and the details and the little ripples in the body of water, the light source of what is happening when it hits the water, and the reflection that it's casting. And just like I said, with the right brain, you don't even use the term water. You just use the term as this thing of beauty that's happening right in front of you, and you're really just learning what is happening to it and why. Especially when it comes to light. So yeah, and that's how that way of thinking, it helped me with realism. And how so? You're probably asking yourself, how did it help me? That analogy of the right brain versus left brain. So again, the right brain, it's the artistic side, it's the creative side. You cherish the beauty in things. You really analyze what's happening. You take it to heart. You really take that to heart of what's really happening in front of you. And the left brain is like, yeah, it's just a tree. We get it, Vince. But right brain, you see all the details just from the light being from the angle, from the side. The details that it's bringing out within this tree and how the shadows are responding on the opposite side here. And I'm constantly analyzing the world around me from that right brain perspective and cherishing it and learning it and learning what I'm witnessing about the light and the dark when it hits a subject. Okay, it's just, I thought I heard something. It's just squirrels. But let's see, we're already 8 minutes in. And so I was talking to a friend earlier and I was sharing that same analogy with her, and that could be applied even much further because a lot of people are looking at the world from that left brain perspective that is so limited. It's so limited in their way of thinking. It's, and it shouldn't be that way. And yeah, we get it. It's good to know these things for what they are. It's good. We get that. It's good to know these things for what they are. But the right brain is something that allows you to get encouraged by it. And it limits, and it kind of frees you from that limitations of what that thing really is, And so, not just from artists, but even just people in general, start looking at the world and appreciating it more from the right brain perspective. Because the left brain is like, it's just a tree, just a tree, and it's going to probably be cut down or something in a few years, whatever. But right brain is just really analyzing and learning what's really happening. And once again, especially when it comes to the light. So, Okay, yeah, sorry about that, you guys. It got cold out there. Look, man, I ain't built. I didn't have my hat on or nothing like that. I didn't want to get sick, but look here. All right, so to sum up what you guys just seen out there, to sum it all up, the right brain versus left brain. Right brain. Just be encouraged as artists to look at the world around you from a right brain perspective, because you can learn so much more in such a short amount of time about realism with that right brain. When you observing it in the outside world, in the real world, and soaking it in and applying what you've learned on the canvas. Thus, you bring in your left brain a little bit for that canvas, because now you have an idea of how things work. That's what your left brain is telling you when you go to the canvas. You have an idea, or you get it now. You get it about how shadows would normally respond based on the position of the light when it hits the subject. That's your left brain, But you embraced and engulfed all that with your right brain. And now, when it comes to the canvas, now you putting it to the test of what you just learned, what your right brain allowed you to soak in, what your right brain allowed you to learn. And now you're using your left brain to apply it, calculate it. It's another term, calculate what you learn. So it's a lot more freedom with that right brain. There's a lot more creative thinking with that right brain. But still can't forget that you have the left brain as well, the left side. That it keeps you in balance, and now you won't forget what you won't forget what things are. You won't forget what things are. You know what things are with the left brain. But that's why I say, use that freedom when you go out in the outside world. Use that freedom of your right brain and embrace learning from it, and let that travel all the way to your left brain side, and apply that to the canvas of what you learned. And I think that pretty much sums it up of what I was trying to get at with this video. I hope so. I hope so. I hope it wasn't a lot of mumbo jumbo for you guys, but I just wanted to share with you guys on my thought process in realism, and how I was able to learn what I have learned in realism. And just to give you a different, perhaps a different perspective you haven't heard from, and how to learn it. So yeah, so just turn that right brain on blast when you go out in the outside world, and just learn what you learn about it. Learn what the light source is doing with those objects and humans and animals and trees. Learn what the light source is doing and how the shadows are responding. And taking all of that knowledge, soaking it into your brain, in all of your brain, and let that travel into your left brain and apply that to the canvas. Artz, out.